Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 27th, I want to say. Let me just confirm that. Yep, May 27th. I'm at work, so about to start my work day. I already went to the gym this morning. So the topic I actually was in between a few topics, but the topic I am gonna talk about today is a podcast that I was a guest on, and I was interviewed on for my friend Zai. I think I mentioned her in a different video on how she had reached out and asked me if I was interested in being a guest speaker in her podcast, and I said, of course. Why not? She had a bakery. That's how I met her. She made cakes for me and for my kids, and desserts and cupcakes and cookies and all that good stuff. So I've known her for over 7 years now, I would say. 6.5, 7 years. So the reason I want to talk about this podcast is because obviously I'm doing videos, but I'm not like set up for a podcast. As you can see, I don't have a microphone, I don't have headphones, although I did use headphones in the last video I did. I was actually testing it out to see if it worked for when I went as a guest to Zai's podcast. So I had a different experience from being on the other side, or being with another person, because I do have some people in mind that I want to interview and ask some questions and just present on my podcast, because they've been through things in their life that I would love to get their perspective on, and for them to share so others know they're not alone. So Zai's podcast is more about, she's interviewing restaurants, bakeries. She goes and tries their food. She finds out the history behind those businesses. So she's doing it from a different perspective than what I'm doing it. I'm just doing it about life and things that I'm experiencing and things I'm going through and things people around me are going through and how I handle it, and my upbringing and things like that. So it was interesting because even though it was a podcast about my family business, it brought up a lot of these things about emotions and what we go through in life and hardships. So I was like, everything is mixed, everything is related one way or another. I did find it interesting, the questions that she asked and the format she had. She had a beautiful setup. I did it in my bedroom because I didn't know where to do it. And I did utilize my headphones, which helped me. I don't know if it was good for her because she had a mic. She had a microphone in front of her, if I remember correctly, and then she had a mic, I think, here as well. And it just was a beautiful setup, very prepared, very high tech. Excuse me. Nothing like I have set up, obviously. All of these, I've been doing them from my car. But anyway, and then, she started by doing an introduction on me and my family's business. And then she started just asking questions about it, how it started, et cetera, which, I said in the video, this is from the information I received, because she said, I think we started it with like, so how did, the family business begin, or John's Fried Chicken start in the 1970s? And I said, well, I wasn't born yet, but, and then that's when I shared, This is all based on information I received from my grandma, my mom, my aunts, my uncles, my family who started back then. So I kind of went back to my grandma because she was really the matriarch. She was the founder in reality, and she went from nothing to creating this empire for the family. So it was very significant. And I mentioned this before, my grandmother passed away. This is my mom's mom. She passed away September 22nd of 2022, and it was extremely impactful for our entire family, including my children. It was very, very painful and significant for them. So that's something that I spoke about as well in this podcast. And she asked a lot of questions, which in a way I felt guilty, because I felt like, well, I'm giving information that was given to me. So it's like passing it on, like from a second party or second hand, third hand, however you want to call it, but it's not direct from the person. So it made me think like, wow, I asked my grandma lots of questions growing up. I spoke to her a lot. I spent a lot of time with her, but I feel like I never interviewed her that way. So me speaking about her and what she went through and how she got where she got based on the information she would share with me is a different perspective than if I would have sat down and said, okay, Grandma, I'm going to ask you these list of questions, in an interview format. So it made me think like, wow, I think I want to interview my mom and my dad just to have that from them, like just be able to experience that, because I felt like it was so significant, and it wasn't even me, like my life, it was hers. And obviously we spoke about me too, and where I worked before, and how when I started working at the family business and how I continued and all that. But it just seemed insignificant, which is not, it's not correct, it's not right. It is significant, my life and what I've gone through as well, but it just seemed less valuable than the value of everything I shared about my grandma, and how she created the business, and how it started, and how it continued, and how they pushed through and persevered, and the tactics she used back then to create this successful business. Her mindset, like, this is a woman that didn't go to school. She didn't, she didn't know how to read or write, and she accomplished all of this on her own because her husband passed away while she was here, and it was a lot. So anyway, I'm digressing, but this was mainly what the video was about. So the reason I wanted to bring this up was, again, like I said, it made me think of my parents and how I would like to interview them. But it also made me think of the new generation and how they see life, how they see work, how they see a balance, how differently they see the world than my grandma's generation, my mom's generation, than even my generation. Like we're all in different categories and different steps, and we learn different things, and sometimes it takes someone like Zai to reach out and interview me about these things to kind of realize, wow, there's a big gap there, there's a big shift with times. And obviously things change, the economy changes, the world changes, people change, technology changes. There's so much change, and it also depends on how you're raised. I mean, my parents raised me and my two brothers, and all three of us are very different. I'm raising my three children, and all three of them are extremely different. But seeing how when my grandmother started this. And it's all based on information I received. So it wasn't like I lived it. I lived part of it when I worked there, but I didn't live like the startup of it, the trial and errors, the failures, the successes. I didn't live all of that. I wasn't there for all of it. I was there for some of it. So my kids are also here for some of it. They're not here for all of it. And I want them to look back and listen to these things and read these antidotes and stories of how we've grown and how we've changed, and see what they've kept and what they've shifted and what they've rearranged. Because I used to see it myself. I used to work and be like, why are my parents doing this? Like, why don't they just incorporate this? This will help them. This will benefit them. And a lot of times they were like, nope, we're not doing it. Like, nope, this is how we always have done it, and that's it. We're not changing it. And a lot of things made sense that they did. A lot of things I agreed with, but then there were things that I did against their will. And I think I talked about this before, like the delivery platforms. I did it. They didn't want it. And it ended up working out because COVID occurred, and that was our primary source of income. We were able to pay our rent because of the delivery platform. So it just made me open my eyes, because also my son comes and works for me on the weekends, and his friend, and he makes suggestions all the time, like, why don't you do this, why don't you do that, you should change this. And at first I'm like, this kid, like, he thinks this is so easy. He thinks that it's simple to just make these changes and it's cheap, but it's not. So I would get upset, like, what is wrong with him? Why does he think we can do this? But then it made me think back, like, wow, that's what I would do. That's what I would say to my parents and make these suggestions. And I didn't understand why they were so stuck in the old traditional way that they did it when times have changed. So sometimes we do something, or things are presented to us unexpectedly, because I even thought, wow, the world is actually working in my favor, or I am manifesting these things, because for my friend to reach out to me and ask me to be a guest in her podcast and for her to interview me, this is amazing. This will help me prepare to have a guest on my video podcast YouTube thing that I'm doing. So I felt like, wow, but then during it and while I'm in it, like, I learned so many other things, and things come up that I'm like, wow. And she asked me questions that I was like, oh wow, I don't know, like, I got to think about that. So it was a very good experience. I really, really appreciate it. It was great. It was emotional. It was funny. It was exciting. It was invigorating. It was all the emotions. It brought me back to my grandma, and I really felt like she was there with me. But it also made me think about the present and right now, and how my life is very similar to my parents, and how they viewed me is how I'm viewing my children. So it's very significant. It means a lot, and I'm going to carry it with me always. So thank you, Zai, for that. It was amazing. And I will share it once it goes public, I think this week. I know she wants me to send a picture of me holding some food, and was kind of reluctant. I'm like, really? Do I have to? But I will do it. I will send it to her. So I will end it here. Sometimes things may be presented to you and they may be scary or weird or different. But just take the plunge and do it. I remember saying to my husband, like, should I do this interview? Like, she asked me if I should do an interview, and my husband was like, yeah, absolutely, do it. And that really made me feel good, because I knew that he realized how important this is for me. And he gave me that support and that push and motivation to say, yeah, let me take the plunge, let me do it. So thank you. thank you to my husband as well. And let's make it a productive day. It's beautiful outside. And till next time. All right. Bye. Take care.